I will try to give you guys as much as exposures on the style that you guys can apply directly, even though not from demonstrations, but from discussion and reference research directly, that you might going to be used there. But if you plan to design using AI, for example, directly for your entirely assignments direct, one of the things that I would recommend, please sketch first in your sketchbooks, your ideas there, right? Refine first your ideas in your sketchbooks, shoot those photos and trace, improvise back again. Okay, according to your plan. You're planning in your sketchbooks there. Okay, so you guys still have the sketchbooks, right? You're still using sketchbooks? Guys? All right, good. Yeah. All right, yeah. Oh, most of you guys are right. Okay. So the importance of sketchbook, you know that, right? Okay, because planning is a very important thing there, because they're going to define your accuracy on your transitions, okay, from your ideas into your final design, and you can improvise from there. There's a lot of things that we can improvise when we work with when we plan with the sketchbooks there, right? Otherwise, when you actually straight up to draw basically in AI there, right? Okay, for example, okay, I'm going to open up the AI here. They are going to be quite difficult, right? You try to come out all this kind of rough kind of ideas that you have in your mind in AI there, right? Okay. Okay, for example, I have a few number kind of like, let's just say there, okay. Have you done the Vometer kind of challenge before? Okay, this is one of the new things that I've tried there, okay, that actually I've explained to you guys, okay. But what I've done with this kind of exercise, this challenging, that is not actually a part of our exercise, don't worry there, okay. One of the things that I find there, okay, from here, when you have a limited kind of shapes that you guys can use to form basically any kind of characters over here, it's quite challenging there, right? Okay, it's quite challenging there, because all these kind of what we call that shapes that I use were based from here. So I'm planning everything basically on my head, in my head there, okay? What basically I've done there, right? But if you can actually apply by sketching first your ideas and then you transform back in AI there, right? It would be more better there. Okay, it would be more better there, right? So you can search on the Vometer challenge. I think a few years back, okay, but last year basically I've been introduced with this one. So I have to work the demonstration with the students there. Okay, Vometer, right? Interactive challenge there. So if you take a look at this, not this one there, right? Sorry. Okay. So if we take a look at, okay, there's not much kind of what we call that a reference that we have here. All right. This is some of the visual, okay, that some people actually have done the challenge. All the visuals that actually they create, even though this owl there, okay, were based on the same shapes there, okay, that 5, 6 different shapes there. They combine together, they merge along together and mixed up with the colors there, okay, to formation, all this kind of, from the simple elements into some kind of shapes there, right? Okay. But when I actually have that kind of what we call that, I do a bit kind of research from here. So I try to work with a more dynamic kind of looks and the pose for the characters there, right? Okay. So this is what the result is there. So this is basically my test kind of demonstrations that I did, okay, for those challenges. But if you take a look at what I've done from where is it there, right? Okay, this particular kind of works there, right? Okay, I'm starting with sketches there. Okay, but not the sketches there, right? I had done a few sketches there, okay, but where is it? I don't know there, right? Okay, but when I design this one there, okay, I start with the sketches there first. Yeah, I miss out the sketches there. I don't know where it's go there. Right, demo, this one. Go there, right. So I start with sketches there, right? Okay. So sketch it out first, your ideas before you're going to transform anything there basically into your own design there, right? Okay. So make sure you work on that. Okay. So without sketches, without plannings, it's impossible for you guys to work with it. Okay. So now, all right. So for any of you guys who are using AI there, okay, you guys have using AI before there, right? So
Yes.
what you can do, okay, what kind of exercise or assignment that you have done before using AI? Character design? Any kind of thing that ring a bell there, right? Or vector portraits, like this one? This kind of assignments have you done before? Okay, guys? This is most of it okay, using those AI there, right? Vector based there. So if you seems want to use AI, for example, there, okay, try to get some of the ideas there, okay? What are the things that actually can be applied on your subject matters later on to use AI to work with it, okay? Like vector-based portrait or vector design there, right? Okay? That basically using AI here. There's a lot of samples that you guys can actually look into it there, okay? And of course, all this kind of character design that been applied here using AI, we're not going to be applied perfectly there, right? Okay, if you don't actually have those sketches with you, all right? But honestly speaking, there, right? Okay, my kind of what we call that, what basically I have in mind right now. If I'm using AI nowadays, okay, and using mouse, just like I'm working the whole thing back again, like 20 years ago, there, right? Okay, those are the things that I find there, right? Okay. So this is some of the things that you guys can actually do some research first, okay? Any kind of design, any kind of characters that can be applied. But what I do want to stress it out, don't copy from other people's characters. You can get some ideas from here, okay? You can get some ideas from here, and then you apply them back and redraw them back into your own kind of presentations there. But don't trace. Some people actually try to have smart enough there, okay, for your FYP there, okay, suddenly copy some of the character that they find quite interesting because they want to have a shortcut there, right? Okay, because if you get caught, those are the things. If you get caught, okay, from copying from other people's work there, so they're going to be affected your marks. I have to warn you guys on this, okay? Please, guys, okay, don't actually copy from other people's works there. We can get some ideas from there, okay? For example, all right, let's just say you like some of the characters here, there, right? Okay, and then you want to redraw back again the characters here. So what you can do, okay, let's just say you take to some of the samples there, right? As a guideline for you. Okay. Of course, okay, this is a part of the research there. So in order to get some ideas, okay, new ideas, okay, on your design, for example, there, right? Okay. Sometimes people like to have this kind of characters, but they doesn't know how to work. When we design these characters here, they doesn't know basically that we need to apply not only one single positions of those design. You have to design more from there, all right? So look nice there, okay, but if you just copy from other people's work like this, okay, what are the values that you can add from there? Okay, what are the value that you can add from there, right? Okay. So for example, like you love this kind of character styles there, okay, you save the files, add into your kind of folders there, right? So the thing is right now, what value you can actually make from here, okay? Those are the questions that you have to ask yourself all the time when you want to design the characters there, okay? What are the values you're going to add from here? So let's just say this is my sketchbooks, okay? I don't use those. I don't actually draw from here because they're going to be quite hard for you to guys to see there, right? So what I can do right now, I have this kind of ideas that I want to design the character. For example, there, right? Okay, we're taking this one first. Let all copy and paste, but at the meantime, it looks like I'm tracing, but it's not there, right? Okay. So when we use these digital medias, basically, it helps us to have more privilege to understand, to study back again some of the things that we want to develop like in the future. So what I can do right now, okay, before I'm going to trace back in AI there, right, okay, using my sketchbooks. I have my kind of pencils over here, okay. So one of the most important thing when you want to design the characters, when you sketch it out in your sketchbooks, you guys can see my screen there, right? So what you can do right now, you have to sketch first the basic structures here. Okay, remember about how to sketch it right now. Hopefully you guys have been improved more on your way of working with your sketches there, right? Okay, so study basically the basic shapes there, right? They can be applied. Okay, this is basically the fundamentals there, okay, how all the characters are going to be work. Remember, right, guys, about what we actually have done before. Okay, those kind of photographic sessions there that I create there for you guys. And then you have to redraw the whole thing. Okay, your kind of friends kind of photos there, right? Okay, understand first basically the basic structures there, guys. Okay, before basically you want to design things. Okay, every single characters came from a very strong shapes. Even though the hair, right, okay, came from different kind of shape. That's why the Vomator kind of challenge basically is quite good there, okay, because it helped basically the creators to understand what type of shape basically we can use. Even though from Vomator's kind of challenge, the things that we apply basically that we do there, okay, we applying using the shapes that they've been given, we can actually adjust, but we can actually combine them together there, right? Okay, we cannot actually improvise from those shapes there, okay, but we can actually combine them. So if you want to design any characters, okay, whether you're going to use AI or Photoshop later on, right, please cache first your ideas here. Okay, right now I'm using the basic structures of these subject matters here, right? But I want to design my own kind of characters here. So what I can do, let's just say I'm going to use, okay, I'm going to apply basically a different kind of design here, right? Okay, different kind of design there. So from the basic structures that I have from other people's characters, there, right? I redesign them using my own kind of way of working there, right? So this is basically where creativity can be applied on our works there, right? Okay, what type of dress that she or wardrobe that she actually right wear basically here, all the things, even though I draw the hands back again there, right? So this is basically your earlier kind of developments. Okay, he's wearing a belt there, right? And then she's wearing maybe a pants there, or maybe a short kind of pants there, right? So all the ideas that you try to come out, okay, from here, okay, from the basic structure that we have, is a part of your guideline there, okay? The guideline for you guys to work. There. So draw the shoes here. There. Okay. We have different ideas here. That's how it works. And then you continue to work with your different kind of profiles, 3/4 view, back view there, okay, to apply the same kind of methods on developing the characters there, okay. But of course, the challenging here there, okay, I'm using, okay, same brushes there, right? So now the eyes from the side profiles there. So the mouth also going to be a bit kind of different from here, right? So this is the nose part there, right? Okay, maybe a little bit different here. So the alignments, you have to make sure that, okay, the alignment is right. The next thing is you need to design those head, okay? You're not tracing them directly, but you're using basically the reference that work. So everything has to be aligned together in the same place there, okay? That's how it goes. So it's look easy there, okay? But if you didn't have enough kind of what we call that experience to work with it, they're going to be a little bit kind of hard for the first time there. Okay, side profiles there. So there's more things you have to go from here, especially when you design the characters there, okay? I'm talking about this one for your sessions because I have done that session and I'm record and also can actually upload back again, okay, on those kind of sessions there. But this one basically I can share a new thing also with you guys and also the rest of the classes there, okay, later on. So they're going to be a part of different kind of process that we have to go through with it. So if you're not actually ready enough for you guys to apply, okay, you need to understand right now, okay, digital kind of subjects or digital illustrations, right, to emphasize your kind of understanding how to apply or to design your illustrations there. A part of those illustrations, portrait design, character designs were a part of those illustrations element that can be applied on your works. So this is one of it there, right? So whatever character that you're going to draw in the futures there, right, okay, it has to become with this kind of what we call that preparations there first before you're going to redesign them back in the futures there, okay. Same goes to this one, all right? let's just say I'm going to sketch it out using those blue colors there first. So I'm going to develop those understanding first about the basic structures of these characters here. Okay, the hands are going to be a bit bigger there, right? So this is a part of the studies there, right? Okay, from other people's characters before you're going to redesign into your own way there, right? So if you don't understand enough on how to apply this kind of structures there, right, it will be hard for you later on to improvise and to redesign back again your characters over there. Okay, this is the earlier stage that you guys can be applied. Okay, for those who don't have any ideas where you want to go, how actually you're going to create, okay, in the naked kind of what we call that mind that you have there, okay, you doesn't have to know the directions that you want to go. Get some reference, start with that reference and improvise from there, but understand also the basic structures that apply from the beginning of the process of those design before basically you're going to move into another stage there, okay, to apply the poses there, the expressions of those characters here. Okay, so that's the other thing that have to be recall that first, right? Okay, in order the process of working. Hopefully you guys understand that, right? Okay, how it works. Or if you don't actually practice on your routine of discipline there, okay, it's time for you to change. You have to apply first all the sketches before you're going to redraw them back again. When you have the finalization on your design, then basically you can go into the next stage there, right? Okay, into the next stage there of your works. Let's just say you want to design based on the basic structures. Let's just say that, right, okay, a boy robot there, right? Okay, for example here. So what I have in mind here right now, okay, yeah, most of the things that I've done right now is using basic shapes there, okay. So skull robot here there, right, maybe. And then start with the body there, right, okay. There's a shoulder pad over here. So all the things that I have in mind here, okay, so I throw away on my kind of sketches there first. So this is a body there, okay, using this kind of shapes, right? The arm itself there, okay. So I can actually work in different kind of way, the arms. So using the shapes there, okay, to work there. Everything have been worked out with the shapes there. So without the shapes kind of understanding, you won't be able to move over to these characters there, okay, to this design. All right. So the legs itself, maybe I'm going to draw a bit more bigger there, okay, the size of the legs there, okay. Yeah. So the earlier kind of developments on the characters that before we could finalize them. So the most important thing here right now, everything about planning there, okay. After that, you guys can move into another stage to refine your design, to find some of the elements on the Google's there, okay, that can be applied, okay, if you talk about some robots there, okay, character design, you need basically to do more research from here there, right. See, just now basically I just randomly draw based on what I have in mind, on my imaginations there, right, okay. But with a guideline that we have from basically the reference that I have here, okay, these characters there, right. This is a human characters, a boy characters, okay, from one of the games that may be there, right. So I'm using that kind of features, okay, for me to work in different kind of way there. See the difference there, right? Now? So I'm talking about developing the ideas there today. How are you going to improve that, okay? The tools that you're going to use, basically this is only a tools there, applications there, Photoshop, AI there, okay? You guys seen basically how I actually have done basically yesterday there, okay? But the thing is right now, how are you going to apply your ideas from here using the tools that you want to use? That's the different thing, all right? So now, let's just say you have these few number kind of characters, okay, that you have done, all right? So sometimes in my case, okay, let's just say that I have the ideas over here that I have been working on before. Okay. Now, when I open up AI, I think you guys have done this kind of process before, right? I just want to recap back again. Then I'm going to export the right key. Sorry, the right, not export, right? Okay, place the right. Sorry, right place. All right, this sketches over here. See, there, right? So open up the layers there. Okay, these are the layers. I'll lock them up. I'm going to open up new. Right, file this one. The opacity. Normally I can actually change a bit, right? So I can actually easy for me to trace. I'll lock here back again. Then I'm going to start to either go working with the drawings there, right? Okay, with the design here. Either I'm going to start with outline or shapes there, right? Okay, depending there. So if I start with shapes, choose my own colors there. If I use pen tools, mouse there, right? This is what happens to me. So I think you guys also have different kind of techniques that you guys can apply also from here, all right? Using those kind of AI to execute basically back again your kind of understanding in order to execute to develop your kind of ideas there. Okay, one thing there, right? How to refine them. Sometimes I'm using those pencil tools to refine them back there, right? Okay. Oops. Right. Yeah. Okay. So the hairline there, okay, that I want to draw. So if I use pencils there, if I use basically these tools over here, what we call that, right? So I can actually redraw them. I'm going to draw the whole head, right? Okay, shapes here. Not just tracing one of them there, okay, or leave it whatever that we have right here there, okay. So what I'm going to do, like this one and send you back. That and adjust the colors there. So the process will get a bit kind of difference there, but I'm not going to use a lot of layers at this time there, right? So I minimize the layers usage, but I will send you back some of the areas there, okay. So this one you can hide also if you want to, right? So if you use layers, basically it's quite easy there, right? Okay, but for me, right, if I don't want to use layers there, to make it more faster for me to work, so I'm going to start to draw the neck. All right, and of course the color can be changed and send to back, right? Control Shift and those close cap there, okay? I can get a fast result from here. So those are the things that we can done there, okay? How about the eyes there, okay? Either you can actually put into this kind of strokes there first. So start to draw the eyes here. There. So change the colors and draw the pupil. Right. Without using basically the other shapes there, right? Okay, to work here. I'm going to reflect the tools. All right. To make it more balanced over there right now. So the eyebrow is I can use pencil tools to draw. I can use also other tools that you can work there, right? So this one I can reflect that. So right. So it's a part of the process of developing those ideas there, okay, that really matters right now when you want to start to design in different kind of tools that you works. Okay. But of course, the process, I think, using AI, one of the things that I didn't work anymore in AI directly because it's a matter of the purpose of using the creating basically the project itself. Right? Okay? Most of my project basically I'm using Photoshop there. Right? Okay? I'm using AI basically just like I shared with you guys before. Normally, I'm using AI for wall kind of design there, right? That's why I'm using AI there, okay? So nowadays, for me, right, okay, AI it's quite enjoyable, but I will be more kind of comfortable basically for me to work with Photoshop. But depending on the works that you want to work there, okay? That's what I say. So it's up to you guys actually how actually going to work. For me right now, if you choose to work with AI because you don't have a tablet there, okay, this is one of the way that you guys can do that, okay, to do the work there, okay. If you're going to apply some other things there, it doesn't matter, okay, within character design or the shapes of those elements that we used yesterday there, okay, to create those kind of exercise there, okay, to test those brushes there. But this one, even though there is a brushes there, I'm not recommend you guys to work on that because the file are going to be a bit more bigger, and I would say that basically okay, we have to be differentiate between AI and Photoshop kind of styles of working there. Right? So the purpose of using AI, basically, we want to have the very solid, flat kind of shapes, kind of styles there in our illustration works there, right? And we can use also gradient if you want to. For example, like this one there, okay, some gradients there, right? Using some of the gradients guide. So take a look over here there, okay, because some of the new features I didn't explore there, okay, but the gradients kind of tools like this one there, right? You can actually work on that back again, okay, on your terms there. Check back again the basically the light kind of effects that you can use from here. And of course, in my kind of illustration, sometimes I would use gradients. Okay, for example, like this one. Okay, for example here. But I'm using the different kind of color kind of guide there, right? So what I can do, right, let's see that. Change a bit here. Okay. So now, okay, let you see these colors there, okay. Just put it over there. But this is a default kind of color there, guys. So what you can do there, okay, let's just say that I'm going to apply like this one here, right? Change a bit. All right, from these colors over here, the same colors there, right? Put it over there. Okay, so I have the gradient kind of formations there, right? But if you're using linear there, okay, what you can do, change the positions of basically the directions of lighting. Like the lighting came from top to right, so you can change that. So it can be blend together with some of the elements that you want to apply. But you need to do a lot of changes, a lot, right? Okay. That's why the techniques, the methods are going to be a bit different when you use those gradient kind of styles there. Even using any kind of shapes that you want, okay, like the shadows that, for example, here there, okay, what I can do. Normally I can actually cut them, right? But now we have the knife tools that we can use. Where is it, the right knife tools? Yeah, right. So what I can do, I can cut these areas there as a shadows line. Like that. Okay. Now this part, I want to add some shadows there. Okay. Shadows line. Okay, the shadows there. So this is one of the interesting kind of what we call that tools that we guys can use to execute your kind of design there. Okay. So if you guys start using AI, this is the one, okay? But in terms of our exercise for this week, I'm going to show you guys also, maybe both of the techniques that, okay, can be worked there. Hopefully they're right. But they're going to be the treatment are going to be a bit different, right? I'm not saying like they're going to be the same here. So wait, one, right, they move for one there, right, okay. AI, okay, you guys understand, okay, how it works there. Same goes to this one, okay. A lot of things that you guys have been working on, okay, can be improvised from there, all right, from using the shapes there, right, okay. But the design itself, the way that you treat basically the shadows line basically for these characters, maybe in the future you're going to work more from there, okay. I'm not going to push myself a bit more there, okay, but the lines over here, if you want to combine them, you just click to the pathfinders unite, so the whole path basically have been combined together there, right? So what you can do here, with the shadows, normally when using the knife tool over here there, right? So if the light source came from the top, what I can do, I can cut over here there, okay, for the shadows here. So this one, this part basically I'm going to add a little bit kind of more dark kind of tone there, right? Okay. So the adjustments of those shadows, right, okay, to treat your design are going to be obviously different there. So in AI, they are going to be different there, right? So remember that, guys, when you're going to do your works, whatever that you have planned, you need to know your weapon of choice that you're going to use there. So between AI and Photoshop, I would recommend you guys to do different kind of way to approach that, right? So you choose the right. Okay? That's why when you talk about our assignments there, right? Please read back again, basically the brief and some of the samples there, and see whether you guys can actually apply them back again. Okay, whatever that we actually have been planned with your tools and your application that you want to use there. Right? So from this exercise here, we have environment, portraits, and some of the tests of those kind of brushes to work there. Okay, it doesn't mean that for this our exercise here there, you need to do the whole thing using the Photoshop directly. But some of the thing that you're going to work, it can be done also in AI there, right? But I just use Photoshops, okay, if only one of the AI directly. Okay, this one using AI directly for environments there. But there's a lot of sample that I actually have show you guys, okay, yesterday, that basically in the flat graphics there, okay, that we're using AI for the work there. So don't have to worry about it, okay? Don't be kind of like, oh, the marks that we are going to be works on, the evaluation that are going to be works are going to be a bit different. No, it's not going to be different there. How well you're going to use or applying using those kind of applications by applying your design sense to show you basically your kind of understanding, that's basically are going to be a part of those kind of criteria when I'm going to evaluate your works. You guys can see a lot of kind of good kind of things happens here using the vector based kind of illustrations there. So ask yourself back again how it works there, right? So even though these kind of characters there, right? They were using AI that it works. Let me see there, okay? If you use a flat graphics kind of style here, obviously they use AI there, but this one using AI and this one basically using Photoshops. You see two different things? But either way, it's all up to you guys. The sketches that you're going to reapply when you want to design them back. All right. Even though in Photoshop, all right, take a look back again. Here. We also can apply AI kind of styles there. Don't worry, it's there, right? So what I can do. Okay. And now, I just say, yes, any questions? No questions there, right? But there's the questions there, right? So now, say this design there, okay? Okay, let's just say this design here. If I'm going to use the same kind of styles that, okay, that we apply in AI, I can apply also the same thing here, there, guys, in Photoshops. Let's just say, okay, what type of colors that we're going to use? Okay, maybe purples there, right? Okay, backspace. Okay. Yeah. So I'm using the different layers here to work. And the next thing is, by using the selections, maybe the shadows are going to be applied right here, there, okay, because the lighting came over there, right? So what I can do, I'm creating my own shadows here. Those are basically some of the things that I cut a little bit. Okay, if you ask me how to actually create the shadows there, okay, I make the shadows like make believe there, okay, that the shadows actually came from the light came from this side, and the form of the shadows I recreate them back to make it a bit more kind of different kind of approach of those kind of design here. I make it more looks a little bit kind of like interesting there, okay, because we design things. Remember that, guys. We design things there. You guys have been trained to become a designer there, okay, not become a so-called like tracer there, right? Huh? Or craftsman there, right? Okay. So take a look here. using the same AI that, okay, but my job a little bit more faster here because I don't worry too much on the what we call that the pen kind of tools, kind of struggles there, okay. But there's an advantage between AI and Photoshop. I actually doesn't actually have argument on that, okay. Don't get me wrong there. I'm used to be AI also freak there, right? Okay? That I used a lot of AI before, but depending on the works, okay, if I thought that the work that I've done is basically better working with AI, I'm going to using AI. Don't worry, okay? I'm not actually not anti of this AI kind of stuff. Not right. I accidentally put some there. Oh, all right. Okay, backspace there. Okay. Good. So what else there from here? So the elements there, right? So the next thing is maybe the jaw there, okay. What color that I'm going to use, and of course, in Photoshop, okay, we have to use layers there. So that's the things, right? Layers that to apply. Without layers, it's hard for you guys. But in AI, you can actually just send to back there, right? So those are the advantages on AI there, right? So normally in character design, one of the most important that you have to remember is about the silhouette there, right? There. I'm designing basically the silhouette at first. So you guys can see the features of the characters itself, okay, the strong kind of features of your own design before you are going to finalize them. So if you have the strong kind of silhouette of your characters, your design basically have the very strong kind of elements that can be shown from there, you know. See? So the strong silhouette of those design. Same goes to the same of these girl characters there, right? So two different things. Have you guys done this kind of thing before, guys? Because I saw that some of you guys have been improved a lot on those illustrations. Teresa, do you actually have draw anything there on your social medias that you post? No? Right. So this time basically, right, okay, this period of times, hopefully you guys understand now how to promote yourself as a graphic design students. So this is the time that I get to work. So I'm working with, let's just say if you're working with mouse, all right, the feather of 0% of the tools there, this is a thing that we can do there, okay? So up to you guys to get your works. So if you want to develop these ideas there. So let me get back into our purpose of the main objective of our exercise there. Sorry, because I'm introductions too long, okay? Because there's a lot of things that I want to share, okay? Especially on your period of your final year projects there, right? So when you want to design something, make sure that you actually sketch first your ideas here. So let's go back into our purpose of our objective of our exercise there. Now, first of all, okay, when you open up your files there, you want to test your brushes there, right? So using those elliptical tools, so what you can do right now, if you're using mouse over here, okay, let's just choose any kind of colors, alternate backspace, and then using the brushes there, right? So the difference between tablets and also basically mouse there, right? Okay, you can control the pressures there, but you have to change the flows. All right, you have to change the flows there. So what you can do right now, let's say we copy and paste. Right, 1, 2, 3, right, 4, 5, 6 there, right? So go back into this brushes there back again there, right? Okay. If you want to test some of the brushes over here, okay, without basically the brushes there, right? Okay, the thing that you actually can apply is applying the change the opacity several times, right, to get the tone that you can apply from this brush kind of tools there. So that's why it's quite hard there, okay, but no matter what kind of tablet or what kind of what we call the device that you use, okay, we always go back into the understanding on how to direct the light and shadows at the same time, okay, when you come to practice and use the brushes as well. Okay, those are the first thing, right? Okay, if you use soft brushes like this, soft brushes there, right? Okay, of course you have to control the opacities and flow at the same time. Okay, where's the source of light? Okay, let's just say this is the source of light there, right? Adjust the size and change a little bit, right? And then you actually can just to create some sort of highlights over here, see? And the shadow itself, change the size, and you can apply basically, right, the shadows that can be formed on the object there, right? Emphasize the object there, right? We paint basically is not basically on just rubbing basically on the surface there, right? We applying according to the light that form basically from the shapes itself. Okay, and the size of the shadows can be applied according to the areas that can be covered with the structures itself. See, it's not entire black there, right? I'm using mouse right now there, guys. I'm just holding the tablet, but I'm using mouse there to work. Okay, so applying basically the basics understanding back again, right here. See the 3D, three-dimensional kind of looks there, okay? The illusion of 3D dimensionals there. So the next thing that you can apply is the shadows there. Okay, that actually have cast over the form there, right? What you can do here right now, right? Use shift you can actually apply that, okay, from here back. You can slowly actually move, okay, the mouse to apply the cast shadow that form right here, to make sure that the object that you paint basically is not basically floating around there, okay, the surface there. Slowly, but it's not that easy, okay, if you use mouse there. So this is basically one of the exercise that you have to do using those mouse there, controlling basically the flows. I'm using 11, 64, depending on how well you can control the pressures from here, okay. But it's quite difficult. But I have one of my friend, okay, one of my friend basically is not using tablet but using mouse to paint. One of my friend, but he's quite senior there, okay, than me there. It can be applied there, okay. I don't say that it cannot be applied. It can be applied there, okay, but it's a matter of how actually using them. You do some selections back again, for example, over here. Let's just say you're going to change the color into red color there, okay. Okay, red color there, right? And then change basically the volumes of tone, right? The cast shadow, the reflections kind of shadows, light over here also can be appear here, right? Okay. So when you paint it up, please basically, right, carefully move around. Okay. When I paint, basically, I'm not painting like this one, right? Okay. Move my what we call that cursor there, right? Okay. I'm moving towards the curve of those lines there, right? Okay. On the shapes itself there, right? That's the difference between painting and also coloring there. Okay, we're using the form itself, okay, to paint. The movements is according to the curve kind of shapes of form that form basically the shape itself there. Okay, the light itself came from here. Okay, off a little bit. And adjust it, right? See. Okay. It's not that hard, right? You're using those mouse there, right? But the thing is right now is how actually you can apply them. So the shadows is not purely black. Okay, the shadows reflections based on the colors of the objects. Remember that. What I can do, right? I'm using the little bit kind of brownish there, okay, but came from the red volumes of tone that can be applied here. Okay? And press a little bit there, right? And move. So even though we can actually add a lot more from here there, okay, on the shadows itself there, right? So it looks like floating here, okay, because of, right, the color that I used there, okay. Maybe I can use this one there, okay, and the size and try to paint and blend a lot there. Yeah, and not to contrast there, right? Okay. That's how it goes. So let's just say I'm using the same shapes over here. Move a little bit further, right? Yeah. Let's just say I'm going to use different kind of brushes there, right? I have one brushes that I tested yesterday. Wet blender brushes there, right? What this kind of wet blender brushes can be used here? Take a look at it. Change the strength. Oops. Too much, okay. So they can blend, we can actually try to blend basically based on the strength. Blend it up there, okay. Shape itself, okay. The thing that we're going to do right now, but I'm going to add this kind of colors over here first using eyedroppers. And go back into the wet blender. So you see the effects there, right? Okay. Very nice effects basically when I using like a smoke effects here. Okay. Smoke effect there, right? Blend up together there, right? Okay, on this kind of works. I use white colors there. If you change basically the background colors there, right? You can see the blending kind of move from there. So there's a lot of things that we can do also with those brushes that can be appear here, there, right? So they're blending together there just now. Because just now basically there's a gray kind of shapes there, right? So I close them, right? So we blend there, okay, just like the whole kind of shapes actually been what we call that disintegrate there, okay, from the surface there. Very nice kind of effects there, right? So experiment with the brushes there, guys, okay, to see the difference. Okay, for the first exercise, okay, and the next one, painting there, right? Okay. Any questions over here? You can choose colors there if you want to. You can experiment with some of the brushes there, okay? Just use, okay, some of the brushes there just to paint. But of course, okay, when you use these brushes, always change the flows. And you can see the difference there. Okay, without actually, right, change the brushes flows and also opacities there, right? Okay, how many percent, or I can depend on how actually you're going to control them. You can see the difference there. Right? What are the effects that can be done from there? Okay, but the things that I have in mind right now, right? If you want to execute the exercise for the second exercise, okay, for this week, using the brushes there, right? Okay, on the character, on the human kind of what we call that portrait, for example, there, right? They have a kind of difficulties there, so you have to change that. That's what I have to change there, okay? So right now, so you can be part of those designer, okay? If I have this kind of reference with me, let me combine this one first. Combine all this kind of shapes first. Not this one. Okay. Okay, merge the layers here. Okay. Save. All right. This one there. If you want to draw using AI, go ahead. Okay. But in Photoshops, I'm going to execute them. Right. There's a lot of way also for you guys to work there. Okay. I think one of the way basically you guys can use those. What we call that? First of all, the quick selection tools. Okay, if you have a reference with you here, all right, delete some of the parts basically you're not actually going to use there, okay, to paint. Okay. Because the point of using this exercise is you guys can test the brushes when you want to paint anything there, okay, anything that you want there, okay, using those brushes there. But using mouse, basically, I felt quite limited there, okay, of the process of experience working on it. That's basically I felt that. So the uses of those kind of tools are going to be a bit different. Okay, one other thing that we can do from here, let's just say you have this kind of visual with you. Of course, you cannot be using outline that you draw there, right? Okay. Oops. Right, add new layers. Okay, this one basically I'm reducing the opacities there first. So you want to draw there, right? Using mouse, for example here. This one I'm using mouse there, right? Okay, we want to draw basically the hairline there, right? By controlling more on the opacities and also the flows. So there's a few number kind of brushes that you guys can explore to work with it. All right. So to draw basically the eyes, so they're going to be a bit kind of difference there, right? It's the size, you can draw them. They're going to be a bit different there. Right, to controlling the strokes there, right? But still can get the purpose of working on it, because when we design an illustrations, it doesn't have to be in one single kind of tools that can be applied on that. Okay, but the way that we treat basically those illustrations are going to be a bit kind of difference there. So those are the things that required there, okay, to design. We design things back again there, okay? So what I can do right now, the way that I'm going to apply using these brushes, are going to be different there, right? So I'm going to draw the upper lips there first. And then I want to draw the lines, okay, of the strokes using the mouse there, right? There. Right. I want to show you guys here there, okay, because I want to see, okay, whether you guys can actually apply using the mouse in the same way here. The size that you work there, right? The size to color the pupil there, okay? The iris, okay, on those eyes. Without actually jeopardize basically the proportions. A lot of people, when they draw there, okay, the things that makes the drawings of those illustrations doesn't work well, because they actually forgot to apply the right kind of proportions from here. So what I can do here right now, so I try to sketch it out there, okay, using mouse that works. But I'm start to simplify those kind of drawings there. So right now, basically, what basically you need to actually understand, okay, using on the tools to develop basically the way that you're going to be work in your illustrations here, right? I'm not saying that you have to redraw the whole thing and trace them back, but you have to apply one of the creative way to develop this kind of portraits using the limited kind of tools that you guys have. When we complete this kind of task there, okay, you guys can see, okay, I'm still maintaining the proportion of these structures there, right? Okay, of this portrait here. Okay, still maintaining the proportions there, okay, but the styles of doing it are a little bit different there. Some people, when they draw, the whole characters, the whole kind of portrait become a little bit kind of aliens. They're out of this world there, okay? Why? Because they don't develop those kind of understanding there when they draw them back. Right. So it's a matter of the tools that you're going to use. In the way that you're going to draw, you have to zoom in, zoom out, okay, and adjust the size there, okay. Reduce basically the opacities to blend it out, okay, with the tone there, okay. Add the volume of tone there, okay. When you start to draw basically this kind of portraits there, right? So I have some shadows, more kind of what we call that shadowings on those kind of hair kind of shapes over here. So the thing that I'm going to apply there, okay, I try to create as close as the form of this kind of design based on the reference that I use. Okay. It's the styles of illustrations there, guys. Okay. By the same time, I'm using the different kind of color tone there, okay, for this background itself. They blend up together, okay, with the visuals here. So what I can do also from here to complete the line and complete this kind of visuals there, right? I can adjust basically the adjust a bit more or not. Cannot affect it, right? So maybe if I'm going to duplicate, yes, two layers there, okay, in the same kind of volume there, okay, they mixed up and become a bit more darker there, right? Okay, so this is basically the technical part, okay, that you guys can actually apply and resolve on that. So the next thing that I'm going to apply there, okay, is the coloring there, okay. So I'm using different kind of coloring methods there. So what I can do from here, let's just say I'm using the hard round pressure opacity brushes, right? So based on the tone from this particular kind of reference, which is I can actually write. Remember, guys, okay, I'm not actually applying exactly the super realistic kind of portraits here. But what I try to apply right now is try to imitate those visuals, but using different kind of styles of illustrations. Remember that. Okay, I'm not trying to imitate basically those visuals, become super realistic, right? So what I can do right now, using the brushes that I have, okay, try to get the right kind of tone there. Right? So what I can do, I start to paint very soft kind of line there. Right? So this is a thing that we call experiment there, okay, whether it's right or not, okay, for you guys to apply and actually achieve the right kind of way of working or not, right, okay. So I can apply basically the shadows over here, but a little bit more kind of what we call that really spontaneous kind of way of working with this kind of visuals there. Look messy there, okay, but if you go through back again to some of the illustrations here, digital portrait there, right? Illustrations. Okay, let's just say using paint styles there, okay. You guys can see a numerous kind of styles there, from super realistic that you guys can use, some very sketchy kind of looks there, right? Okay. Check here, okay, whether we got around here or not. So research is really important there. Right? Okay, most of them are okay, using the very solid kind of look, color, and feels there on that. Let's just say digital sketch illustrations styles there, right? Okay. You guys can see a different kind of approach on those drawing there, right? Okay, and illustration itself. So some of them, okay, using very simple kind of what we call it color combination, but the line works really well there. All right, okay, can be done as a part of illustration styles. But the strong kind of elements that can be applied from these illustrations would came from the line there, okay, from the line itself there. This is from, okay, one of the drawings there, okay. You see the drawing is very strong. The color is very subtle there, okay. It can be applied on your styles of illustrations. So depending how actually you're going to move over to your kind of design there, okay, that you want to do for your illustration, to experiment with your brushes as well, okay. I'm not looking into one different particular styles that get to work with it. So this week, okay, I need you guys to experiment with those brushes, even though using mouse, okay, see whether you guys can work or not. But if you want to work with those kind of vector illustrations, go ahead there, okay. So I'm not actually going to hold you guys from experiment with two different kind of applications at the same time. That you guys can free what we call that use, okay, to choose whatever that these two different kind of tools that you guys can use to work on that, okay. So take a look at this kind of particular style that is very kind of very sketchy, very rough kind of looks there, okay, but it's suitable for those kind of styles of illustrations there. So this kind of stage right now, you need basically to decide there, okay. This is another kind of type of illustrations that you guys can apply here, okay. What I've done right now basically were based from what I can actually applying basically the tool itself, okay, using the line, but at the same time basically the proportions is still in the right way. We are not actually trying to draw this particular boy portraits exactly what it looks, but we try to maintain the proportion as well there, okay. A lot of people draw these kind of things using the same portraits, but they become a blind drawing kind of styles there, okay. You remember the blind drawing there, okay, the contour line drawing exercise. They're not doing well there right now as a seniors there, okay, in terms of illustration style that you can apply on this Photoshop or AI at the same times. In AI, basically, I've done one of my portrait itself. Okay. Using the vector base there, right? This is one of it. Okay. But the line itself, you guys can use also the pen tools that works there, right? Okay. One of it, okay, let me check. Okay, the one of the my own face that I draw there. Where is it? Okay. I think from other subjects there. Okay, guys, okay, give a minute there. I draw my own face directly using those AI direct. Vector kind of face there. I'll recap back again very soon. I can find it right here. But some of the things that you guys can apply in AI basically, okay, by using the experiment with this kind of shapes over here. All right. So those are the things that you guys can explore, okay, with this exercise. Okay, I'll not actually try to control you to do exactly only using those brushes, because they're going to be limited for you guys to work with those kind of mouths there. It's not going to be a little bit kind of practical for those who actually doesn't have the tools there. But if you have basically the tablets, okay, what I actually recommend you guys just can draw the whole thing back again, like using the ultimate pencil, for example here. They're going to be a little bit more easy for you to work there, okay? There. When to draw the hairlines, using those tablets there, okay, it's a bit more easy there, okay? The eyebrow itself. Okay, that works. So the usage of those kind of shadowing kind of techniques, okay, the brushes there, okay, is going to be the same. You have to control basically the what we call that, the pressures at the same time there. Okay, so that's what makes it easy for you to produce directly when you want to draw those tablets there, like using those tablets there. It's just like you have the difficulties before to draw in traditional media there, right? So when you're using those tablets, there's a lot of things can be done a bit more quicker and faster directly. That's a good thing about those tablet usage here. Even though the sketch line will be kind of a bit more better there, okay? So those are the things that advantages when you want to produce an illustrations works, if you have those tablet there. But you choose yourself that you works. Okay, you got 1 week that you practice here first before you decide, okay? Because a lot of things that we're going to do in the futures here right now, we are going to use those tablets that works. Otherwise, my demonstration also going to be a little bit quite slow there, okay, when you use mouse there. So not saying that you have also some difficulties later on. For me also, I'm going to have that kind of difficulties there to work. So like this one, okay, if I add new layers there, what I can do, if I want to use the soft brushes to paint basically the shadows there, right? They're going to be a bit more easy for me to paint. But I have to control also my flows before I paint there, right? Okay? Those are the things that I control the flows there before I paint. So the demonstrations that I actually made yesterday, later on you guys can actually check it out, that back. How actually I create basically these demonstrations there, okay, to paint there, okay. So those other things can be applied, okay, using those lasso tools at the same times, right? And also to apply also the shadows, say, on the hairline, at the same time with the shadows of the shapes for those kind of form of those kind of skin tone there, okay, that I can apply. Okay, those other things can be done easily, basically using those Photoshop there. So in and I, different kind of way. Okay, you have to use separate between the shapes that you guys know that how it works, right? So it's a different kind of tools there. So that's why I really recommend you guys to work and explore more on the Photoshop other than those image manipulation at the same time, right? Okay. All right. Any questions there? Just the one. Right? This one, basically, I'm using very simple kind of exercise, certain shapes on AI there, okay? I think you guys have known there, okay, how it works here. But in a matter of how detailing that you can go from there, it's all up to you guys there, right? Okay, to experiment them. So for this week, you have two different kind of exercise. Is okay, one of it is a portrait. The second one there, right? Okay. The first one are going to be this one, okay? Practice the brushes or the shadowing techniques there, okay? And the shadows, all right? And the light kind of lighting effects, okay, on the form itself before you be going to transform into our demonstrations on our exercise using this kind of reference here. But please don't draw from other people's characters there, okay? Any cartoon characters, I don't want you guys to draw them. Don't draw from other people's characters there, okay? One of the important kind of beneficial that you guys can actually practice yourself, try to draw from the real object or still life object or what we call that human kind of face there, okay? First, the animal also you have to choose the one of the most practical kind of animals there that you guys can paint there, right? Okay, because you have to find the more fastest way for you guys to apply your illustrations at the same times by exploring the tools there, exploring the brushes kind of tools there. So you don't have time for you to execute one illustration, for example, there, okay, for one illustration without any research, more than one day there, okay, to complete that. Okay, you guys can actually complete the whole thing within a few hours there. Those basically our main objective there, because when it comes to design your own FYP there, right, there's a few number kind of below the line that you actually can apply there, right? You need to produce it. So there's a few number kind of sketches that you have to produce there, okay? Sometimes your artwork that you've been working on there, okay, that you spend a few hours there, okay, it might going to be reject from your supervisors there, right? Or you have to improvise from there. So you have to learn to do your works a bit more quicker there, okay, from now on, by exploring more on the tools itself with the device that you use here. Otherwise, you are going to be run out a lot of time by delaying a lot of things, not exploring and focus on the purpose of learning those illustrations there. Okay, find your own kind of weapon of choice to use there, okay? When you talk about simplified kind of digital illustrations, okay, digital simplified portrait directs. Name it there, okay, whatever there, okay, styles that you guys can use. Pop art like Andy Warhol kind of styles there, or cartoon styles. It's more like a naive paintings kind of traditional styles that works, but you can apply in digitals here. Right, this is some of the paint styles also from one of the creators. I don't know what the name is it, right? Can choose, right, which one, right? This one can be used using AI if you want to, and it also can be applied in Photoshop at the same time. Right, so you have to choose your weapon of choices to work there. Same goes like this one. This is more like a character design styles that using the portrait kind of illustrations that work. All right, so you guys can choose this one using AI there, okay? That works. So you choose which kind of particular style that you're going to work, and choose out the tools that can be applied on your exercise within those assignments there. So exploring now. Any question there, guys? Any questions? What do you think about it? Yeah. So what do you think about it? Any kind of suggestions there? Any kind of inquiries? So hopefully you guys can actually manage back again, okay? How to work with it. Whatever they actually have shown, only a guideline there, okay? So the explorations is all up to you guys. But remember, don't trace or copy from other people's works there. You can draw from real photos there, your works, to explore, but don't trace from other people's kind of works there, or paintings, or illustrations, or character design there, in order to develop your understanding. Because it's not a good practice for you guys to trace. For beginners or for certificate kind of students there, okay, yes, you can actually learn to trace those kind of using the tools there, okay? But right now you have to engage basically your creativities to develop what kind of styles that you guys can apply later on for your illustrations. That kind of thing is quite challenging there, okay? But in the modern kind of reference revision that you have here, even though in Behance directly, you can actually get a lot of ideas from there. Remember directly, you just can get a lot of ideas from here. Any kind of particular styles of illustration that you guys can see from here directly. Type illustrations. There's a lot of styles of illustrations here. This is also a part of illustration style there, guys. So one of the things that values in these illustrations is one of the most important thing, the line works, the proportions. And it doesn't look dirty there. It doesn't look weird there. It doesn't look ugly there. Okay? In terms of element and principle of design, they have the balance, they have the contrast, they have basically the harmonized, okay? They have the uniqueness on that, okay, on the presentations there. So don't actually think over basically this kind of styles there, okay? So there's a lot of good value from there that we can actually learn from this illustration style. This is all the professional kind of illustrators there, okay? So they actually apply in their own kind of way of working there, okay, on those kind of visuals. Right, this is using maybe a little bit kind of like a very simple kind of line there, okay? They emphasize more on the hair, of the colors, okay, to focus point there, okay, but the detailing on the line itself, even though the drawings look a little bit more naive there, okay, but it can be acceptable in the modern styles of illustrations there. Develop those kind of uniqueness on this presentation using Photoshop here. So do some research a bit more, okay? Sometimes the thing that you like to draw, for example, as I actually have mentioned previously there, okay? Some people love those anime, manga style very much there, okay? But you have to look yourself, okay? If you basically have that kind of understanding on the way that produce those kind of styles there, you go for it. But don't just be a part of those like wannabes there, okay? Like you just simply want to draw them because you like, but the skills that required for you guys to prepare yourself from there is not there directly. They look weird, they look ugly there, okay? This is a little bit more like a digital collage there, right? A digital collage there. Using Photoshop, that can be worked. So, photographic and Photoshop, okay? It can be done, all right? It can be done. Hopefully I can actually explore with you guys also using this photographic collage, digital collage kind of tactics there to give you guys a bit more kind of options later on your kind of visual presentation on works there, right? See, these look like nice drawings there. For some people, they cannot accept it. I can accept that with the right kind of reference, with the research that you actually bring over there, okay, when you want to submit this kind of works there. Okay. All right. Any questions there, guys? It's kind of good drawings here. Right, this woman illustrators there, right? Even though they use traditional methods there, right? Okay, like lino ink, but can be applied also in Photoshops with the right methods there, right? Those are the things that we can actually analyze there, okay, on those illustrations kind of terms there, right? and you saw some of the things like this one, okay, try to organize and also digest, okay, whether can you apply the same things right here in Photoshop here, okay, but you have to paint a bit or find some of the pictures and you manipulate them back and become your own kind of creations. It can be in graphic design, right? Shoot some photos and adjust a little bit, look like a paintings there, and then apply them back. So it can be, it doesn't have to be illustration, it doesn't have to be everything has to be draw all the time there, okay? But the drawing elements that you apply can be add a little bit on your visuals there. That's why you need to draw a little bit there, okay? But this one, most of it using those kind of photographic there, right? And collage there, maybe. Good. That's it. But the whole visuals look like a paintings directly. They combine it together directly. This one using effects directly. There's a smoke effects that can be applied directly from here. Using the brush smoke effects there. So depending directly, you choose your own choices that it works. Okay, this one, of course, okay, paint styles there. So some a few sketches before they finalize them. This one is hard for you to use for mouse directly. You have to use tablet that to paint, or they use the traditional media here there, right, to works. But it can be applied also in digital medias there. Because he did different kind of sketches before they finalize them. So that's how it works there, guys. All right. Any questions so far about our exercise for this week? No? All right, if you don't have any questions, thank you very much, guys, okay, for attending those classes. Guys, see you guys next week. And hopefully you guys learn something from here and can develop more, okay, in the further kind of your kind of process of working here. If you have any kind of inquiries, even though using those mouse, okay, if you have any kind of thing you want to discuss, please let me know there, okay, about regarding to your kind of way of working using those kind of applications there. But please also give me what we call some of the reference or samples there that can be discussed with them, okay. So that's how it works. All right. Okay, thank you very much. I have another class there, so I'm continuing basically using this kind of channels. All right, okay. So I need you guys to take off from this kind of channels there and have a nice day and have a good weekend there, guys. Okay, bye.